Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday, and it looks like my voice is kind of starting to come back a little bit, so that's a good sign there. But today was kind of a similar day to what we had yesterday. Bitcoin was down. Miners were actually up for the most part. Some of them were up. Some of them were down on the day. But the good part is we had some miners were up. We got a news story from Cleanspark today that they bought 5 sites. We'll take a look at those details there. And we'll also take a look at Hut 8. They still haven't provided their monthly production update for May. So we'll kind of theorize maybe what's going on there a little bit. We'll take a look at that. And then we'll call it a day. We'll get into your Q&A side of things. I'm doing this a little bit early today. I have a little bit more time today, so I'm able to do this a little bit earlier, okay? But as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice from channel only. Please do your own research. Invest in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's get into Bitcoin here really quick, see what's going on there with it, along with the miners. And then we'll get into the news stories that we do have here. So Bitcoin today was down quite a bit again. It was similar to yesterday. It did bounce back, but it was down to a low today of $64,010.01. It bounced back up and it closed at $65,152.80. So we got pretty close to our resistance line that we set before, which is at 63,000, so like 700 roughly, right around there. But yeah, I mean, it's just continuing to come down. Not sure what's going on there. Could be still in this accumulation phase that we're in right now. I mean, if we look at this wider channel here, we had this set up for a smaller channel. But if you look at the wider channel here, I mean, we still are in this channel from here all the way down to here potentially, even if we dip down here. But we're only down like 10% so far from our recent high here. If we look on Bitcoin right now, from here down to here, we're about 10% down. Right? If we go down like the 20% down, that would bring us back down to like the 57 mark as well. I don't know if that's going to happen or not this time around. We can see that the RSI, if we look at that, where we are right now, is at about this, a little bit higher than where we were back here, where we had the dip down to 23% from the high here. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm thinking we might go down to the 63,000 mark here, test this again. If that doesn't hold, then we'll go down to maybe like the 61,000 and bounce off of that potentially. Or we could just continue to go up here. We don't know, right? Nobody has a crystal ball as far as what's going to happen with Bitcoin. But Bitcoin being down today, we had a couple miners that were actually in the green today. We had Bitfarms being up 0.32%, which was not much, right? It was a small amount, but it was still up. Cypher was up 0.2%. Cleanspark was up 1.25%, even though like for the beginning part of the day, it was down in the red. Finally turned around a little bit here. Hive was also up 1.23. Marathon was up 1.3. And Wolf was up 2.73% on the day. So we had some green in here, even though we had a sea of red for the most part. But none of the miners were down like double digits or anything like that. So that's a good sign there also. So all in all, not too bad. We'll see how things progress going forward. I think tomorrow is also Juneteenth. So tomorrow is going to be a holiday. I don't think the markets are open tomorrow. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I believe the markets will be closed tomorrow for the holiday. And let's get into the stories that we do have here. So the first one's going to be on Cleanspark. So Cleanspark announced today that they acquired 5 new Bitcoin mining sites in Georgia. They're adding approximately 60 megawatts of infrastructure of that. And this is definitely interesting news here, right? You guys have heard me voice my concerns a little bit that we're getting closer and closer to the end of the year where their target was 32 exahash and they still haven't really reached 20 exahash yet, which was their goal for reaching in June, at the end of June. And it looks like they're going to be able to reach that goal here if they can get everything squared away, signed, sealed, and delivered basically, and get their own miners in place at that point. Right, that's going to be about 15,000 miners or so, give or take a little bit, on it to install roughly. So I think that's doable, but they definitely have to hurry up now. They got basically 2 weeks left to do that. But here's what they announced. So Cleanspark, America's Bitcoin miner, today announced it has entered into a definitive agreements to acquire 5 turnkey Bitcoin mining facilities in rural Georgia for a cash payment of $25.8 million. If you take that, divide that by the 60 megawatts, they're paying basically 430 megawatts per megawatt. Their previous purchases were in like 300,000 range, 350, 375,000, right around there. So it's a little bit higher than they were paying before. But given that Bitcoin price is still relatively elevated, we didn't have that huge decrease in the network hash rate like we were expecting earlier on in the year. I can see why they're kind of paying a little bit more because things have stayed elevated as far as price is concerned on those things. So that's still good. I think that's still a really fair value there. We saw Marathon paying like $475,000 per their build outs, or not build outs, but the buildings that they bought from, who was it from? I'm drawing a blank right now. But whoever they bought those from, they paid like $475,000 per megawatt. So this is still lower than that. And then we've seen companies like Hut 8, where they came out and then said that they were building out infrastructure like 275,000 per megawatt, but those are just basically shipping containers on a piece of land. Right, so there's not really any infrastructure there other than just shipping containers. You don't have buildings, things like that. And then we had also IREN report that it's costing them approximately 750,000 to build out their infrastructure, but they're also building out dual purpose facilities, which could do Bitcoin mining and also HPC. So that's kind of understandable that they're paying a little bit more for the build out there because they do have the potential to swap between those two. But like overall, 430,000 per megawatt is actually a pretty good price here to buy at this current market, I think. Okay, so this purchase is expected to close immediately, so that's good there. With the operating hash rate of the combined facilities anticipated to exceed 3.7 exahash per second upon full installation of the latest generation S21 Pro miners. So that's good. And then our acquisition of these 5 new mining sites marks a significant milestone in our strategic growth plan and represents the leading edge of nearly 1 gigawatt of new opportunities being analyzed by our team. So that's actually very interesting and fascinating there, that they have that much potential, right? Potential meaning that they could possibly buy part of it out, they're going to buy all of it, but they are evaluating up to 1 gigawatt of overall stuff that's on the market right now for sale. These sites not only enhance the load balancing capabilities for the local cities we work with, but lock in the achievement of our mid-year target of achieving 20 exahash of operating hash rate. This achievement underscores our commitment to scaling efficiently and sustainably, and we are excited to bring these facilities into the Cleanspark way of mining Bitcoin. We are confident in our continued ability to drive shareholder value and innovation in the Bitcoin mining industry. So that was a comment from Zach Bradford, the CEO there, which is all good and great, right? This is what we wanted to see. This is what I wanted to see, is them getting infrastructure, buying sites, things like that, because they do need a lot of it still. But here's what we have also on this. The definitive agreements include the purchase of the mining data centers and equipment at each site, excluding the miners, and the assumption of the underlying real property leases and power agreements by the company. Okay, so that's being included in that, except for the old miners. So I'm guessing there's some older miners in there that were mining away, but they're probably not. Well, maybe they were slightly profitable or just not profitable at all, and that's why these sites were on for sale. So they're going to take those out, put their new machines in, and then that'll get us to the 20 exahash by the end of the month here, potentially. Let's see here. Cleanspark currently owns and operates about 300 megawatts of infrastructure in Georgia. After these newly announced sites go live and after Sandersville is fully energized, the company will operate over 400 megawatts of infrastructure in Georgia. So that's pretty good there. So with the 60, that gets them to 360. So Sandersville still has about 40 megawatts. So that needs to be built out roughly. So that would get them approximately another, 2.8 exahash or so in Sandersville additionally on top of it. I believe my math is right at the top of my head here really quick. So this looks good, right? This is a good path going forward. But based on this, seeing that they bought 5 sites for 60 megawatts, this will get them, along with Sandersville, when that's done, we're looking at possibly, let's just say 23 exahash at that point. So they still need like 9 exahash of sites to get to 32 exahash roughly. Meaning at 9, we're at, what did they say here, 3.7, so that's almost 4. So you still need another like 12 to 15 of these types of smaller sites for them to purchase in order to get to that. They have purchased the site in Wyoming also. That should give them a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think we're still looking at like 12 to 15 sites potentially, depending if they're the same size here. If they're larger, you're going to need less, but if they're this small, you're going to need more of them on it. So I think this is a good path going forward. They just need to continue to execute on this, and then you guys can let me know what you guys think in the comments and when we do the Q&A side of things. So, like I said, this is good news for Cleanspark. This is what we've been waiting for. And then let's take a look at Hut 8, right? So Hut 8 still has not provided their monthly production update for May. I gave them until the 14th, basically until last Friday to report. They haven't reported it, so we did the miners analysis last night, went over that, and today I was listening to Anthony on one of the spaces that he was on, and I was just listening there because I was doing other things in the background. But he's also reached out to Hut 8, he said, and he's talked to Sue over there, and Sue, he basically said, Sue, I need your numbers so I can put it into his articles. And Sue said, don't wait on us. We're still waiting on basically the lawyers to clear it, right? So what does that mean? Why do you, okay, I can see you may need lawyers for it, but you got other companies that provide like very first day of the month. You got Bitfarms doing it. You got like IREN, Cypher, Cleanspark, others as well that are providing these kind of updates within a day or two of the new month. Right, you're not having this huge lag of 14, 16 days and still nothing here. And then we also had this rumor, it's just a rumor right now. I have no evidence of this being the case, but there's a rumor going around that possibly they've sold like half of their HODL right now. I don't know if that's the case or not. So we'll have to wait until we get some definitive answers from Hut 8, because I just looked through their Yahoo Finance site here, and they still don't have anything up here. The last report that they came out through a press release was back for their first quarter operations, which was back in May sometime, right? And then you can see here they provided their April update on May 6th. So that was only 6 days after the new month had changed over. And we're already into June 18th, right? So it's almost 3 times or 2 times longer, 3 times longer, I guess. We still don't have any answers as far as what's going on with May. But could they actually, so let's theorize some things. What's going on there? Are they in some kind of trouble or something like that? Could the numbers look bad for their self-mining? Okay, that could be the case, but we've known their numbers are going to be bad for a while here. If we look at their operation updates for the last couple of months, let's take a look at it here. Let's take a look at their sheet here, right? It hasn't been pretty at all, right? If we look at it here, their best month was in December of last year with 453 BTC mined, and then ever since then it's been coming down quite substantially, down to 339 in January, 292 in February, March was 231, and April was 148. And I'm guessing from here we probably were down to maybe even sub $100 or some sub 100 BTC mined per month, based on where they were and their older fleet. So we knew things weren't going to be great or great. Yeah, we knew things weren't going to be great. So why is there a concern not to provide the numbers right now from them? Right? People, I think, were privy to the information that the numbers weren't going to be great. So there's really no reason why you shouldn't do that unless there's something else going on there. Could they, with the hash rate that they had older machines there. Let's go to look at some of the older machines. So these grayed out ones were the ones that Hut 8 had before the merger. With the USBTC merger, I had them at roughly, 9.3 exahash, and they were on average around 97 terahash per miner, based on what Hut 8 had, and we can maybe figure out what roughly what USBTC had at that point. So those weren't great machines, right? And they've been running those things, and they've been decreasing on their hash rate as well. But you can see these older machines here, like the 87, 77 terahash miners, 93. A lot of those are just barely profitable, if not at all profitable, depending on their power costs on their locations there. But you can see here in April, they were only down to, 4.5 exahash here. They were taking out machines, moving them around. They were also basically scrapping older machines that weren't profitable at that point as well. So that's brought them down tremendously in April. I was wondering to see what May was going to bring like, if they improved that at all. And then so let's theorize some things that could be happening here. Are they maybe waiting to get maybe a signed contract with one of the big manufacturers of ASIC machines, right? Antminer or Bitmain just came out with new machines that are even more efficient than the S21 Pros. They're calling them S21 XPs, I believe. And are they waiting on that, or is there something else that's maybe not as great of a news event, potentially? But I think with them withholding the results right now for this long, I think they're trying to couple some bad news with some good news, potentially. That's just a thought there. Historically, when we saw miners that have not provided their monthly updates, or at least this long, there's historically been issues with it. So we saw that happen with Stronghold for a time being, for like a year after 2022, or in 2022 they stopped it. They stopped it for about a year. We saw with Soluna as well. They got into trouble there. We saw it with, who else did we see it there? With a couple other miners as well that stopped providing those updates because they got into financial troubles and things like that, which I don't think Hut 8 is in financial trouble. They have plenty of HODL, right? So the only thing is, did their operations really go that bad, or did they lose customers for their managed services? I don't know, what's going on there with it. But it's just interesting to see that it's taken them this long, and they still haven't provided it. So we don't know how much longer it's going to take before they do actually provide it. But it is a concern, I believe, for any investor in that company that it's taken them that long, right? You shouldn't have to wait this long. If the numbers are bad, the numbers are bad. Okay, we knew about this. Post the results. And then when you get great news, that will have a more positive impact, I think, then trying to maybe muffle the bad news a little bit with good news, depending how good the good news is, maybe. But I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts on it right now, seeing how things are working for them. But let me know what you guys think on them. This is, in my opinion, not good. But we'll see if they start reporting those maybe within the next couple of days, maybe next week. I don't know. If they don't report for May at all in June, that would be a bad sign for me at that point. Okay. But that's it. So that's all we got for today. We'll get into the Q&A side of things here. And then I was going to do also the institution side of things. How has that changed over the last year with the miners? But since tomorrow, I believe the market's going to be closed anyways. There's probably not going to be much news going on with the miners anyway. So I thought, we'll get into that tomorrow and give me something to talk about at that point. And then maybe we'll look at some other metrics as well on the miners at that point. But let's get into the Q&A side of things. See if you guys have any questions, and we'll call it a day. So today should be a nice and quick, easy day. Okay. Let's see. Looking for some questions. Okay. See one here. Which miners are worth buying now? I think pretty much all the miners are worth buying now. Still, I think you can still do a 3 to 5x, if not more, on some of these guys here. So there's still potential great returns on them. The ones that are maybe more undervalued right now would be like Bitfarms, I think, is way undervalued. CORZ is getting pretty close to being fairly valued. It's come down a little bit here, as well as IREN. But any of those miners that are growing, have good, healthy financials, things like that, those I would be looking to get into. Let's see. Thoughts on Cypher. Hopefully it makes an IREN-like push, and Bitfarms looking huge. Let's see. Thoughts on Cypher. Cypher, I like Cypher. Cypher has great operations. They have great power cross as well. And my pup is playing upstairs with the ball. I'm guessing you guys can probably hear that. Ball's bouncing off of there. But the only thing is with them, it's the growth this year. The growth is only going to be to 13 exahash roughly, and then they're going to have more growth in 2025 with their Black Pearl site. So that's really what's happening there. I think if they report that they're going to grow more this year, I think the stock would pop even more at that point. The question is, Cleanspark buying via the ATM? They've been pulling on the ATM for a while. They got plenty of cash and everything else from the previous ATM that they had, which was $500 million. They basically came out with that in the beginning of the year, and they were done with it by the end of the first quarter. So they drew like $500 million at that point. So I think they got plenty of cash right now on hand as it is. And then they came out with another $800 million ATM afterwards, and they're probably pulling on that as well. I would think they would, at least they should. So I think it is being paid with the ATM, cash on hand, things like that. Let's see. Does Riot have to announce when they are owning less stock? They have 14% now. If they go down to 13%, do they have to announce it too? Oh, good question. I don't know. That is a good question, though. I don't know if they have to announce that. I think it's just, and they're acquiring, they're getting to a certain percentage, they have to report it. But if they're selling out of it, I don't know if they have to report it. But that's a good question. I don't know that one. That's your question. CORZ has 2 loans and convertible note to overcome before HODL. How long will that keep them from being able to HODL? I believe if the first tranche, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe the first tranche, which is exercised at $6.80 some cents, I believe, if that one gets exercised, that wipes out their loans, I believe, their debt, and it gives them $300 million at that time also. But correct me if I'm wrong on that. So that could possibly help there on that one. See. Hi, Sebastian. Like your views on Riot platforms. Thanks. Yeah, you're very welcome. See, is IREN saving money with renewable energy? I mean, their power costs are like, what, 4 cents, something like that, right around there. So their costs are pretty low. I'm sure the renewable energy in Texas that they're getting stuff from there, and then also in hydro, I think they're getting from in Canada, on 2 facilities they have in Canada, I think. That is saving them some money there. Let's see. Vic says, happy Juneteenth, everyone. I need a break from turbulent Bitcoin miners tomorrow. Yeah, so I guess the market is closed tomorrow. Let's see. Question, what miner you hold if any Bitcoin stay relatively flat for the next 6 months? I would hold the ones that I have right now, which is Bitfarms, Cleanspark, IREN, CORZ. Those four. Those are the ones I would hold still. Let's see. Hi, so what's your price target on CORZ? So CORZ is, I think, getting close to being fairly valued on it. Let me take a look at my sheet here really quick. Let me pull that over here, make it easier to get into. So let's see, if we go to, let's see, where is it, CORZ? CORZ, I've talked about this before, right? This is before the dilution that might happen when the warrants get exercised. So we're looking at $19.32 to $28.98. They're at $8.91, right? If the warrants that get exercised and dilution happens, at that point, they will have like 400 million shares outstanding roughly. That would be basically, we have to cut these numbers in half at that point. So you're looking at $9 to like $18. So at that point, I think CORZ is a little bit undervalued right now, but it's taking a pretty healthy pullback right now, which I think is needed for the stock to go up higher in the long run. That's kind of where I'm seeing things right now on it, at least. But that's not also taking into account the huge revenue that they're going to have from the AI or HPC from CoreWeave next year, right? So we're just looking at this year right now. But going much higher, if we go into the next 6-12 months, they should be much higher from where they are right now. Let's see, does Cypher get anything with AI kind of thing? Thanks. It doesn't look like it right now. I got a little bit of a bump from it, I think, when CORZ reported the huge contract with CoreWeave. But other than that, the revenue there is, I don't think they have, I'm trying to think. I don't think they have revenue from anything else from other than self-mining, at least not for Q1. If I look at their Q1 results here, put this up for you guys as well. Revenues, yeah, it's just self-mining right now. So we don't have anything else from HPC side of things for Cypher right now. Okay. Let's see. How is your father feeling about CORZ? Are we expecting to go lower or it bottomed? Yeah, I talked to him about it today. He was like, nah, I should have waited a couple of days to buy it. You're never ever going to time it perfectly. So you just dollar cost averaging as best you can. But in the long term, he's still very bullish on it. He thinks it's going to go up much higher, especially with the CoreWeave announcement and everything else happening there. So he's still very bullish on it. Where do you think Wolf and Stronghold will move to? I think they'll reach $5 plus. Wolf, I would think so. Let's see, Wolf Terrorwolf is right now at $4.51. $5 is within range of it. Stronghold is at $3.79. Stronghold, I'm not so sure. Stronghold has signaled that they are looking for a suitor for the company, so basically somebody to buy them out. I don't know how that's going to impact the stock going forward. Their operations are not that great over there. They have high costs and a lot of things, so that one might be a tricky one. Let's see. How long do you estimate that? What are we talking about here? I'm not sure what the question is regarding to. Let's see. What's your take on CORZ? I'm up 1x over just the past few weeks, but it's given up about 17% since the 17th, which is a bigger slide overall compared to the group. But it's, yeah, had a huge run up here recently as well. So you have to take that into consideration. I think in the long run, it's going to do much better. But in the meantime, we might have a little bit more of a pullback before things start to kind of bounce back. I think a lot of people are also digesting that. A lot of the revenues are going to be coming in from the AI, HPC side of things until maybe around the half of next year when that's going to start flowing in. So it's still a ways out, but you know, eventually people will start to get more into the stock because we are going to be getting closer to that point, and a lot of the market is forward-looking as well. Let's see here. Seems like miners are jumping on the AI theme. Agree? I would agree with that. Yeah, to a certain extent. The only big miners that we have with, well, not really big, I would say. The two big contracts that the miners have is Core with CoreWeave and then BitDigital with an unknown customer for $50 million a year. Other than that, everybody else is just scrambling right now to either build out their own AI systems or look for customers that would take advantage of that. IREN has some customers that are short-term customers there. Hive has been working on something. They have some customers there as well. Hut 8. I'm not sure if Cypher has anything yet. I think they're working on it along with TerraWolf. Let's see. Yeah, see, Hive aiming AI revenue to $250,000 a day. Right now, they are at $250,000 a week. Next year, they are aiming 120 million AI annual revenue, and BTC revenue would be the same. Do you think they can 10x? Gosh, they've been talking about the AI revenue for a while. That, you know, how they're expecting it to grow and grow and grow and grow more. But it is good that it's at least grown to a 250,000 a week. So that's basically 1 million a month. That is sizable, which is nice to see. But we just need to see continued growth on that as far as how they can do that. If they can do that to get to a 250,000 a day, then that's going to be substantial revenue for them. And if they can grow their hash rate as well, that's going to be good for them too. So can they 10x? Possibly from where they are right now. I'm not saying it's out of the question. I'm just going to say it's maybe a little bit difficult for them, but they would have to grow out the AI and the self-mining as well. Oh, trying to see how long CORZ will be prevented from HODL. Yeah, I don't know exact details on that, but I've heard that they have to pay off the debt first in order to HODL at that point. Let's see. Question, when NVIDIA moves, do miners with AI move up as well? No, not really. We're not seeing that much of a correlation between the two, at least not right now. What's the potential of a poison pill now with Bitfarms and Riot? I checked today on the SEC website to see if Riot reported anything on purchasing more shares. They haven't. So maybe Riot is kind of holding steady, at least for now, while they do some talking behind the scenes on it. And as long as Riot doesn't go above 15% or 15% or higher, then the poison pill doesn't get affected. But Bitfarms did put out a SEC filing today about the, what is it called? Shareholders' rights agreement that they put in place. Let's see here. Yo, I'm pretty new to your channel, but you are the bomb when it comes to the rundown on the miners. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. Wolf or Bitfarms for most profit. So if you're looking going forward, next 6 to 12 months, as far as X multiple for those guys, I would say Bitfarms, because Bitfarms has better growth targets this year. Which I think is going to matter more than, unless Wolf comes out, they're going to improve their hash rate going forward, right? That could obviously bump the stock as well. But based on what we have right now, I would say Bitfarms. Let's see. I agree, Sebastian Hutt. CEO Asher asked to go judge him after the third quarter. I don't recall him saying that he would not provide timely monthly reports. He needs to be transparent. Transparent is trustworthy. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on with that. But you also have to think about judging on the third quarter results. Well, Bitcoin goes up to, let's say, 85, 90,000 or something like that. By that time, things are going to be looking a lot better for them without even having to do anything. Their house is going to be worth a lot more. Their operations are going to be generating more revenue at that point as well, right? And he doesn't really have to do anything. But if they can somehow start growing their own hash rate, then yeah, I think that will turn around the story a little bit for Hot 8 at that point. But right now, no news on May update. That's not a good sign. Let's see. Question, would it be a good idea to rotate profits from the miner stocks into ETF that generate dividend during the bear market, or should I stay liquid with cash until next opportunity? Oh, so like if you get out of the miners closer to the peak, something like that, and then what would you get into? If you can get into something that pays dividends or something like that, that's pretty secure or safe bet there. I think that's a good idea. High yield savings accounts or something like that. If you can get into those as well, roll those profits over to that. Maybe invest in something else that has a pretty good chance of doing really well, right? There's ways to do it. Let's see. Question, your estimation how time till CORZ can HODL? Yeah, I don't know how long that can take. I think it depends on when they pay off the debt. Let's see. If Riot is buying Bitfarms, would it have been more than 15% already? I think they are selling their stock since the stock price is high. I saw 300,000 stocks sold today in a very short amount of time. Maybe, right? But we'll have to see if maybe only time will tell, I guess, whether or not we know for sure if they are selling or not, or buying more. Let's see. Hey, so do we have any idea about any potential Wyoming infrastructure acquisitions by Cleanspark? They came out a while back, a couple of weeks back, that they bought, I believe it was 2 facilities in Wyoming. I think one of those is still in I wouldn't say litigation, but I think it's being contested by the U.S. government there, because supposedly there was a Chinese ownership to that part, and it's close to a Minuteman nuclear weapon rocket site or something like that. So I think that one's still in question. The other one I think they should be closing on if they haven't already. Let's see here. Yeah, LTD launch services. Yeah, Jane Smith watched the video from Power Mining Analysis today. Thank you for reminding that. Yeah, they've had Adam Sullivan there. So that's Bryce and Anthony. Watched their channel today. But I believe I watched most of it, but I was also doing other things. But I believe they spoke about the warrants and things like that as well in there. So that would be a good one to watch. Let's see, is it worth selling out of Marathon and Riot to invest in CORZ and Wolf? Seems to be more of a rotation from larger cap hodl miners to the more small cap AI plays. I don't know. I don't know if that would be a good idea. If you're in already Marathon and Riot, or Mara and Riot have been underperforming here recently. I'm not sure what the cause it. Well, maybe I do know what the cause is. The cause might be their lackluster performance in the last couple of months. That could be the cause of it. And they're seeing other miners performing well, growing and things like that. Maybe that's the rotation that's happening there. And then once those miners pump a little bit, we'll get a rotation back into like Marathon and Riot again. But CORZ, I think, is going to do very well going forward. Wolf, I'm on the fence on Wolf right now because of their growth this year. It's not as much as I would like it to be. I think other miners are growing better. I think they'll do better at that point. So there might be another one that I would look at instead of Wolf. Let's see. What leans you positive on Litecoin? Jeez. I've owned Litecoin since 2017. I've been hoping that it does much, much better, but I'm hoping to at least, I still have a little bit. I don't have much of it left. So I'll get rid of the rest of it in this cycle, along with my other altcoins that I have, Cardano, HBAR, what else do I have in there? Doge, I think, and something else. I'll get rid of all those altcoins there. I'll only hold on to Bitcoin and Ethereum at that end of it all. Let's see. I'm hearing you talk about the possibility that miners are front-running Bitcoin, and you've already seen this in the past. How often have you seen this in the past, and how many times? Oh, gosh, I saw this. We saw this a little bit last year with the miners. We saw it, I think it was like 2 or 3 times that we saw it last year a little bit. And then we saw it in the previous bull runs as well, where the miners were front-running Bitcoin, especially in like 2021 and a little bit in 2020 as well. So it does happen from time to time where you see that. It's not very often, but we do see it. Let's see. Do you have any idea that once CORZ 2 warrants have been exercised, how many outstanding shares do they have by that time? I believe it's going to be like double what they have now. So around 401 million or 402 million, something like that. Let's see, your question based on your smaller miner videos, looks like Digihost has the most potential for a hold till next year. Thoughts? Yeah, I would say probably between Digihost and DMG at this point on the smaller miners. Let's see, what do you see Bitcoin or what do you see Riot hitting during this bull run? Riot, I think, is going to do north of probably like 60, 70, 80, somewhere around there, depending where Bitcoin goes. Bitcoin only goes to 200,000. We're not going to have that much price appreciation, Riot or any of the other miners. But if Bitcoin goes to like 150, 180, maybe 200,000, somewhere around there, we're going to see nice appreciation. A lot of these guys here. Let's see. Yeah, Woodstock, yeah. HUD CEO Asher asked to be judged after 3 quarters, being transparent as part of his responsibility as a CEO. Where's the monthly reports? Yeah, exactly. Good point there, right? So it kind of puts the onus back on him a little bit. They wanted to be transparent. They were saying they're going to be more transparent. Seems like they're being less transparent right now. Let's see. Also, isn't it crazy that YouTube runs commercials during a live show? Crazy. It is crazy. I know. I got to make a little money, guys. Sorry. When I turned that off, I'll be honest with you guys. When I turned that off, the revenue that I was getting per month dropped like 50%. It was just crazy on that. Like, okay, well, that was a bad experiment. So I do apologize. I have to put some commercials in there just to kind of make up for it, to make it worth my while. Let's see. Let's see. Digihost has such high power costs. That's why I personally see little future in them. I don't know if they have that high power cost. I'd have to look back at the numbers, but I think they're like around 4 something, 5 cents, something like that. I don't think they're like really, really high on it. Let's see. Yep, sorry. Which miners are best AR target takeovers? I think CORZ gets a higher buyout offer over $10 a share. I mean, the stock is pretty close to that right now. It's almost $10 as it is. I don't think, even at that point, I don't think it would go for sale, right? CORZ knows what it has there, and it's can be valued a heck of a lot more going forward, especially if they can change out their older machines, install newer ones, increase their hash rate by like 10x a hash this year. That would be huge for them as well. That would get them to 30x a hash. So they have a lot of potential going forward. I don't think there's, I mean, you'd have to offer probably like $20 a share on that stock in order to possibly buy them out. But yeah. But CORZ, who else would there be? IREN has the infrastructure, right? So people that have a lot of infrastructure, IREN, but I don't know if IREN would sell. You got Marathon, you got Riot, Cleanspark there as well. TerraWolf. TerraWolf might be a good candidate as well. I think they've, or at least I've heard that they've stated they would be open to a potential buyout. And then who else? Cypher. And then, maybe also Mawson. Mawson's one of the smaller miners that I cover as well. They have older machines, but they have good infrastructure, and they're growing their infrastructure as well. So maybe that might be one of them. Excuse me. Sorry about that. The throat's getting dry. Let's see here. I have been doing some due diligence and had a hard time finding how many megawatts under contract as well. Yeah, it's not always that easy to find some of this information from them on the megawatt side of things. They do provide some numbers. You might be able to find it in their, what do they call it? Presentations, slide decks, and all that. There might be some information in there as well. Let's see here. Another question said, what's your exit strategy on Bitfarms and Cleanspark? Please advise. Thanks. Okay. Like I said before, I don't know where the top's going to be exactly. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Plan B charts for stock to flow model, the power law model as well. And let's see where Bitcoin is right now and where it's going, where it's at. And at that point, look at like the RSI on Bitcoin, how long it's been going up forever and things like that. So I'm going to be slowly dollar cost averaging out of the miners as well, like Bitfarms, Cleanspark. But my targets are much higher from where they are right now. I think we're nowhere near where we possibly will be in the next 6 to 12 months. Right. So once we start getting close to those, I will be talking about possibly starting to, take some profits this time around. Let's see. Do you think U.S. miners get more revenue multiple for valuations than non-U.S. miners? Yeah, there might be potential there. But I think it also depends on how you're growing, right? And then also, if you don't have a HODL position, I think the HODL position can be a positive. If you in the United States, you can take advantage of the FASB rules. If you're not, you can't take advantage of it there. So that really doesn't impact you, like for Hive potentially, right? And then IREN is based out of Australia, but they've said they're open to possibly having headquartered in the United States, because then you can also get onto these index funds and things like that as well if you're based in the United States. So there's might be a little bit of a premium to being in the United States, but I don't know how big of that premium it is. So, let's see. I sold half my IREN. What price would you start adding more IREN if and when it dips? Oh, if you sold half of it, you probably had pretty good profits at that point. Let's see, IREN right now is at $13.95. I mean, geez, it's dipped a little bit here. Well, not really dipped. It's kind of, take a look at it here. So it's been going up, then down a little bit, up, down, and then we might be going back up a little bit higher here. I don't know. If it gets down to, we've definitely come back up here. I think we're in price discovery right now on it. I would buy on any dips that you see here, potentially. Dollar cost average into it. I don't know exactly where we're going to go, or if we're going to go back up higher, but that's the way I would do it. I would just dollar cost average into it on that one. Let's see. Question, when will IREN make profits from AI business? They're already making profits. I think they're making, $1 million, close to $1 million, like 950 some thousand in revenue for it. So profits, if they're saying those are like 90% on it, so you can kind of see what kind of profits they're making on it right now. Let's see. Cleanspark also announced a bunch of new sites today in Georgia, small sites though, which worries me because they still have to pay employees to be there 24/7 for only 8 megawatts. Yeah, but you don't need a lot of employees there at that point, right? You can have also, depending where they're at, if they're close by, you can have possibly like 1 or 2 people just controlling those sites, and then everything is done remotely. The guys can call up from the headquarters, go, hey, miner B71A something or whatever it is, and whichever rack it's going to be in building is out. Put in a new one, bring that one back to get repaired, and that's it, right? So it's not that big of a deal. Most of the time you can swap out machines. They don't all go bad at the same time. You can kind of keep an eye on it. So I don't think that's a big deal. You don't need a lot of people doing that. Let's see. What are your bull run and summer filing predictions and when they are beginning? So what are bull run and summer bull run? So a bull run, I think my estimates for Bitcoin was 180,000 this time around. Summer filing predictions, well, those are going to be coming out for the miners for Q2. Those will be coming out sometime in July, potentially like in the middle of July, something like that for Q2 numbers. I think that's what you're talking about there. Let's see. DJ says maybe Hut 8 is going to announce a deal like CORZ. Maybe, yeah. I mean, but still, provide the numbers for May and then provide the deal there. I mean, how hard is it? The one thing I don't understand is Sue was saying to Anthony that they have to go through the legal department. Okay, what's legal in the department got to do with numbers, right? Your numbers are either right, or they better be right, or you got issues there. So it shouldn't take that long to provide just some numbers. Here's what we mine. Here's what we had in infrastructure. Here's how many miners we had, so forth, so on. It's easy. It's numbers. You should be on top of it anyways. You should know that basically on an hourly basis, if not on a second basis. Let's see. Wolf is moving harder than IREN. Well, let's take a look at that. See if that is correct. Yep. So let me see here. Let's take a look at my screen here. So let's see here. IREN from the bottom where I bottomed out here. We're on IREN right now. Yep. It is up from right here to where it's at right now. We'll just do that. It's 229% up, right now. And if we look at Wolf is up from its local bottom here, which is also back here. It is up 138%. So currently IREN has been outperforming Wolf, but this is what, 20 days? What was IREN here? Just to take a look at the time frame here on both of those. IREN, if we look at it, it's going to be probably more days on it from the bottom here to here. It's 33 days. So a little bit more days. So let's go back to maybe from like right here. Maybe that would get us closer to 20 days, 22 days. So 188%. So it's still outperforming Wolf at this point. But yeah, they're both running really good, which is good to see. Wolf might be benefiting from the AI play a little bit as well. Let's see. I think Wolf IREN are pumping due to speculation on buyout offer after the CORZ buyout offer. Wolf, I would think maybe more so than IREN. IREN is just pumping on their increased hash rate for this year, their AI side of things, and just great operations overall and great management there. So I think that's why. Let's see. Okay, I thought I couldn't figure out what you guys were talking about. Run them. So you're talking about the ads. Yeah, thank you. All good, Seb. And then Ryan says, run them ads, man. That's the least we can do. Yeah, I appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah, there's another one. Make money, Seb. Do what you gotta do. Yeah, I mean, we all want to make something for our time. Let's see. When do you think Bitcoin gets out of this channel? I think sometime this summer. I don't know exactly when. It could be tomorrow. I'm really worried about it, right? If I was trying to get money out in that time frame, maybe I'd be a little bit worried. But I'm still looking at this like a 6 to 12 months play, maybe even an 18-month play still to go. So we still have plenty of time. I'm not worried about it. Let's see. I rode Mara and Cleanspark to a nice gains, but can't justify not nearly doubling my shares by converting to Riot moving forward. Just my honest opinion. I mean, you could do that. Riot has underperformed those guys. Could possibly do better, but there might be other miners as well that could do even better than that. Let's see. Is there a chance Cleanspark gets a short squeeze? I don't think so. They're not that shorted. percentage-wise, they're not that badly shorted to the other miners, I guess you could say. Some other miners are being shorted even more. Question, which miner has the most energy capacity and which one has the most energy capacity potential? Which miner has the most energy capacity and which one has the most energy? I think that would be possibly IREN. IREN said that they have 3 gigawatts of pipeline available to them. Right, it's not all of it has been publicized yet, but they said that's what they have. So based on that, I think they would be the ones. After them, I think you would have Riot and maybe Marathon right now, right? And CORZ. CORZ isn't, I think they're under 1 gigawatt for everything that they have, but I could be wrong on that one. Let's see here. All the TA guys say we peak in September. The fundamental BTC maxis say 12 to 18 months from now. Why do you think we have this discrepancy? Okay, that could be because of the cycle that we're in right now, right? It's a different cycle. We've had an all-time high before the halving event. I think that might be playing into it. We have more institutions, more ETFs, all this stuff happening much faster this time around. So they're looking at more of a left-aligned cycle than a right-aligned cycle. Left aligned meaning it's going to be faster, and instead of right aligned, which would be a slower cycle, like 12 to 18 months. And it's really up for debate right now. Nobody really knows for sure. We'll see how it plays out. If we start seeing Bitcoin at 150,000 by the end of the year, or like close to 200,000, it's going to be a left aligned cycle possibly, unless we get a cycle where we had the same thing happen with gold ETFs, where they went up for a number of years. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. Appreciate it. Watch the ads. Don't skip and hit the like. This guy is dedicated. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. Here, I said the same thing. I sold IREN at 8. LOL, regret. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just don't know where things are going to run to, right? That's why I don't trade these guys. It's just too volatile. There's too many things going on. I like to get into them in the bear markets, hold on to them for dear life, basically, when they go into a bull run, and then exit hopefully with a much higher stash. Let's see here. CORZ having on-site repair is mind-blowing. Yeah, I mean, CORZ has it. I believe Riot has it. Cleanspark has it. Bitfarms has it. Hut 8 had it for their machines as well. I think Hive also has it. Some of the bigger miners have those facilities in place. I think Cypher's also got it along with TeraWolf. So they all have it because there's just so much benefit in doing that. It doesn't take you, 3 to 6 weeks to get your miner back for repair. Question, why does Bitcoin have a cycle? Well, in the past, it's had cycles, right? So we had the bear market or the bull, then we went to a bear, right? And the reason it has is people get a little over jubilous, I guess you could say, over excited with Bitcoin, especially when you get a cut in supply, right? We went from 50 BTC per day, 50 rewards per block reward per day. So it came out to be, I can't remember what it was. It was 144 blocks times 50, whatever that comes out to be. But that went down to 25. From that, went down to 12.25, down to 12.5, down to 6.25. Now it's down to 3.125. Next year's going to go down even more. And each time we do those types of halving events, it cuts the supply in half, and Bitcoin starts to rip at that point. And then things get a little over exuberant, and you have a pullback, right? But it's worked out that way in the past. I'm still trying to figure out if we're going to have the same event happen this time around, or if we're going to have a prolonged, extended bull cycle for a couple of years. We'll see. Riot thoughts. They have huge potential. I keep saying that all the time. But the big thing is their operations have been terrible over the last 18 months. They need to fix the machines at Rockdale. They need to build out in Corsicana, install machines there, and have much better uptime in both locations. I think if they can do that, they will do much better going forward. Cleanspark also has service on their sites as well, level repair at their large facilities as well as their Norcoast facility. I kind of like the way that they do it also. So when they have a machine down, they have a backup machine. They plug it in there. They don't have a bunch of them, but they have several hundred of those, maybe 1,000 or more within different facilities around the country that they operate. And then that way they can have, just swap it out, repair another one, put it back into the queue. Another one breaks, you put that one back in. So you're always pretty much running at like 100 uptime at that point, or close to it. Let's see. When will the miners shift gears from being growth focused to prioritizing profits? HUD seems like the only one, trimming down fat, if you will. Scale. I think once they get to scale, those things will happen. but a lot of them need to reach scale. And scale for a lot of these guys is going to be, 1 gigawatt of power in facilities, basically, or more at that point. That solves a lot of the issues that you have with SG&A, profit sharing, or stock-based compensation. Those all look much lower at that point if you can do that, right? And if you have a much better fleet as well, those things solve things. And if you can save or hodl in like closer to the halving event, past the halving event, and then start selling as we get into a bull run, they're going to have much better cash reserves at that time as well. So there's a lot of things they can do, and if they can get to scale, those things will help. But Hut 8 had to do those things because they were spending way too much money on, hotels, things like that, other things in there. And then they had older miners, so they had to cut back on quite a few things there, which was good because they needed to do that. And a lot of miners did that as well going into the halving event. Let's see. Yeah, everybody watched McNally's Money video from Texas. He did Riot and CORZ there. It's great to see those facilities. Definitely check those videos out. Victor, thank you so much for the super chat. And you're very welcome. Let's see here. Riot Marathon and Cleanspark short volumes are decreasing. Price action recently may be in the shorts closing their positions. Could be, yeah. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button. Seb has earned it for sure. I appreciate it. Thank you. Is Galaxy a miner? They are a multiple of things. They're a miner, or at least I think they mine something for themselves. They're also a hosting provider for Argo, maybe others as well. They do loans. They do other things as well. They're kind of all over the board there on that stuff. Let's see. I am slightly scared because when everyone knows that something will happen in the stock market, that is, then it might not happen. Are you scared that the run might have already happened? I don't think so. I wouldn't think 73,000 would be the top for this cycle. Mainly because we still have so much more institutions buying into it, so much more adoption happening into it. I think it's maybe easier for the big players to manipulate it now, even more so than ever. And just because they want to make as much money as possible. So, they're trying to keep it down, trying to get you guys and me to basically sell out of our positions in the miners and in Bitcoin as well. Put that last little fear into us before they pump it higher. That could also be the case. So I don't think we're at the top yet. Thank you for all you do for us. Got to drop. Yeah, I appreciate you for coming in. Thanks. Have a great night. Let's see. Miner Doc, thank you so much for the super sticker. Let's see here. Peer character looking at himself if in the mirror saying thanks for being you with hearts popping out of his eyes. Appreciate it. Let's see. Is Riot most efficient miner? No, they're like one of the worst efficient miners. But they know about that. They got to fix those. And Jason has talked about that as well. DeFi Technologies, any thoughts? It's 30x in a few months. It's 50x last cycle. Same time as the miners went parabolic. I don't know. I don't know enough about DeFi Technologies on that to really comment. So I'm sorry about that one. Let's see. I think the ETFs have impacted the cycle dramatically, so an unknown now. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. We're kind of in unknown territory right now. We've never had this before, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Let's see. What are your thoughts on MicroStrategy and Similar? So those guys are having a hodl strategy. MicroStrategy, obviously the one that started it. Similar, I think it's Similar Medical or something like that. They are also doing the same thing right now. And normally, with MicroStrategy, normally you see like a 2x on top of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin goes to, let's say 100%. MicroStrategy would go up like 200% at that point, right? That's historically been the average for MicroStrategy. Sometimes it front runs Bitcoin and gets a little overexcited, and then it comes back down to reality. So that does happen. And sometimes it also goes much lower than Bitcoin does, but then it comes back up. So I would say those are kind of like 2x plays on Bitcoin right now. That's the way I would see it. Let's see. Simu, thank you so much. That is very, very generous of you. Do appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. sorry if I missed it. Can you quickly explain the rights plan that's set to activate on Thursday for Bitfarms? Thanks. So the rights plan is basically a poison pill, more or less. What that means is if Riot gets to 15% or higher, at that point the poison pill gets enacted or put into place, and they will basically give us more shares and not give more shares to Riot. At that point, it will dilute the the holdings of Riot, meaning that they would have to buy more and more shares in order to get like the 50% possibly needed, or the 66%, like I've heard from some people saying in Canada, in order for them to buy them out with the hostile takeover potential. So that's kind of the way I understand it. Let's see. Bitfarms will be 5 at least next couple of months, in my opinion. Yeah, I would think so. That's kind of where I have them at, as being kind of fairly valued compared to where they are right now, between 5 and like 6 or something like that. But yeah, so I would think they could definitely get there if they can get to 12 exahash or close to 12 exahash by the end of this month. Let's see here. Which miner is the most efficient miner when it comes to cost of mining per Bitcoin? When it comes to mining per Bitcoin, I think CORZ is in there. You got also Cypher has really good cost on electricity, so they might be there. But if we're just looking at pure electrical costs, I think Cypher would be the best one there. But when you include other things, management costs, things like that, then you start looking at potentially like Hive, Bitfarms, Cleanspark, CORZ. Who else would be in there? Just more or less those types of miners at that point. Let's see here. Hey Seb, just joining in. I will be rewatching the video later. How is your sentiment? Could you elaborate on your current personal feelings regarding the status of the market as a whole? Yeah, I mean, I'm still positive on everything. We're in a little bit of a lull here with Bitcoin, but we get these types of things. So you got to take the great runs with some of the not so great runs, or at least the extended periods of time where it's just kind of sideways trading. You got to kind of take it as it is. To me, those types of things, like in just the last 12 to 24 months, right? Anytime Bitcoin is going down, miners were going down, I was buying into them, right? This is not something that I'm not used to. I've gotten more used to it over time. But I look at it those times as buying opportunities, because I still think that there's more upside potential in these miners, especially when they were going down in the bear market. That was more painful to do with them, because you're buying in and then the next week it was down another 20%. It's like, oh, geez, when is the buy going to be in? But you continue to buy in because you have a conviction in those that are going to do well going forward. And so far that's worked out for me. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I'm still very, very optimistic, very positive on the way things are going to play out here in the next 6, 12, potentially 18 months. Let's see. Yeah, TeraWulf also has a good cost per Bitcoin mining as well. They're at what, like 3 point something all on average or something like that. Yeah, 3.7. Talking about Cleanspark here. 5 small sites for only 3.7 x. It seems like they are running out of things to buy. I don't see as bullish as other people. But they did provide in there that they're evaluating a pipeline of like 1 gigawatt of potential sites, right? So total. So could it be like 50 sites with 20 megawatts each? Whatever would that be? Yeah, 50 at 20, that'd be what, 1,000, I believe? Yeah, that'd be 1,000, right? That'd be 1,000 megawatts, so that's be 1 gigawatt. So maybe, who knows what they're actually doing, but at least they have a lot on their plate to look over and possibly get into. Let's see. How can we support you? Is Super Chat better than Patreon subscription? What is the most beneficial to you? I mean, I greatly appreciate if you guys put in a Super Chat or a Super Sticker like that. You don't have to. I appreciate it if you do. But if you want to support me, Patreon's probably the best way to go. You get at least all my spreadsheets in there as well. And you get access to the Discord server there, which is our private Discord server. And then just recently today, I actually did our first, what is it called there in Discord? Live chat or something like that? Live voice or something like that. We did that for the first time. We might do those more often on my lunch breaks when I have a little time. We'll spend 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes just talking about what's going on in the market at that point. And that means everybody can join in at that point as well. So I think it might be fun going forward to do that. Just get your guys' opinion, get your guys' thoughts on things as well in there. And we can actually talk live. So that's happening there. So if you want to support me, I think Patreon is the best way to go, because you actually get something for it here. Well, you guys get something here as well. You guys get to ask me questions, and then so. But yeah, either way, I appreciate it. Let's see. Uh, I want rumors. Have you heard of Cleanspark purchasing Bitfarms? Who was it? Mike Alfred has talked about it on his X Spaces. He said that he's heard of them potentially being looking to buy them before Riot came in with the offer, I guess, and went public with it. He doesn't know if they're still in play over there or not. So that's all we know right now. That's just what we've heard. Let's see. What about the increased operations cost of having a bunch of smaller sites everywhere? It's not that bad. So if you have sites that are pretty close geographically, they don't have to be, an hour away or something like that from one another, or maybe an hour and a half or something like that, depending on the locations. It's not too bad. The sites aren't that big, where you need constant staff there, right? You need somebody that can possibly manage like 4 of the facilities, or a couple of people at least, right? Maybe 2 to 3 people or something like that, to manage the facilities. At that point, you got the central office calling in saying, hey, this miner's down or something like that. Replace it with another miner and bring that one in for service, right? They can do those types of things. So you don't need a lot of people there potentially. You just need somebody to kind of keep an eye on things at that point, I would think. You probably want to keep it as lean as possible. But the costs are not going to be that much bigger. Yeah, Ryan says CORZ has the lowest cost to mine for BTC 24,000. Brian, is that with the latest halving after the halving event? I thought it's going to be a little bit higher than now after the halving event, but maybe for all electricity. I would have to look at my numbers again, but you might be right on that one. Okay, so you're saying, okay. What I was saying earlier, because I'm guessing that these new sites are all shipping containers, which would make it easy to be stolen if left with no employees. That's one of the things that we don't know, right? We don't know if they're shipping containers. Usually, Cleanspark does not buy shipping container sites. They usually buy something that has infrastructure, like a warehouse in there with miners in there or something like that. They don't typically buy shipping containers. That's not their way of doing things. And they're pretty picky on what they buy also. So I don't think they would do that. And then, as far as security, you can have security in place with remote monitoring, video cameras, intrusion detection, things like that. You can, that can be solved. And then if you got somebody trying to take a shipping container, you got quite a work to do there. You got to unplug the power to it. You got to cut the lines to it as well. That's going to take some time. And then if the thing is bolted down from the inside, you're going to have a hard time getting that sucker off the pad potentially. So there might be some issues there as well. Let's see. Do you see Riot getting back to 70 easily? If they can fix their operations and improve their uptimes, yes, I do think they can get there. Let's see. Can you be my personal mentor? I have a game plan, but I want to really hone in and gather as much understanding as possible. Depending what you're trying to get into. I've never really mentored anybody. Might be something cool to look into. Let me see. Hit me up on Twitter if you can on that one. We'll discuss it there, but just really would need to know what you're trying to do. If there's a way I can maybe help at that point. And if you're a Patreon member, hit me on Patreon that way. Let's see, Riot 70 in 2024 might be tough. I don't think in 2024. I'm thinking maybe sometime 2025, depending where Bitcoin goes, right? But I think we would need Bitcoin like north of 150,000 at that point for them to get to 70 and above. Marx has added another 500 shares, of course, today, under 8. Nice. Okay, Ryan says, I just pulled that from what you emailed out today. Okay, so those numbers, I don't think I've updated those yet. So I'll take a look at it, but I don't think I've updated those yet. So he's talking about CORZ here, the price of CORZ for their cost to mine. Let's see, once CORZ warrants are exercised and it's free from debt, they'll announce some big growth plans and the stock will definitely rocket up more. They've demonstrated that they can consistently execute. Yeah, I agree with you there, right? If they can do those things, grow some more, I agree. Let's see, Ryan Buell. Yeah, BitTBT at that point was close. So I think those numbers have doubled since I've last updated those because those were pre-halving, I think. But I'll take a look at these numbers here. Let's see. Hi, Seb. Do you think buying sites by Cleanspark will affect the stock price in the next 4 to 5 months? Riot hash rate predicted up. So where do you see stock price? Well, we kind of saw a little bit of pickup in Cleanspark today because of the announcement, right? It was up just a little bit, but Bitcoin was still down, so it was still good. I think with them getting to 20 exahash by the end of this month will help. And then we just need to see continued growth for them going forward. They got to get to 32 exahash. That's Cleanspark, what I'm talking about. And then Riot, where do you see Riot price stock hash rate? Oh, sorry. Yeah, months Riot hash predicted up. Where do you see the stock price? I see. So with Riot, with me, it's always been the same thing. They got to fix their operations. Excuse me. I had to burp. They have to fix their operations, fix their uptime. If they can do those things, the stock will do much better. I don't know exactly where it's going to go, how quickly it's going to go, but I think if Bitcoin goes to 250,000 plus, the stock is going to do very well going forward. They just need to fix those things there. Let's see. What do you think of the Riot submersible miners at the new Corsicana facility? Will that be a big advantage? I think so. I think they'll. I mean, the reason that they're doing it is to solve some of the issues that they have with some of the older miners that they had at Rockdale. So with the immersion cooling, you can run the machines a little bit harder. You can also run them longer, meaning that they last longer. You don't have the dust, everything else that gets into them. It's a much better environment for the miners, I guess you could say. At that point, especially in Texas where they get to 110 degrees and stuff like that. So for that, I think it's a great thing to do. It's more costly. It takes longer to put those in. You need bigger buildings and everything else is bigger because of it, right? You can't stack the miners on top of each other, 10 feet high or however high they go. With this, you only get like 24 to 26 miners in a batch or in a vat in one of those tanks. And then you need so many of those tanks, right, to put in the hundred thousands of miners they're putting in there. So it definitely takes a lot of space there. Let's see. Hey, Seb, just wanted to say you should repost your lives as videos. Does that make a difference there? I mean, they're still up there as videos, and they're live. This is recorded right now. It's live out there. I don't know. Would they make a difference? I'm not sure if that would make a difference. Let's see. Would you recommend spreading my 5,000 shares of Cypher and putting a couple thousand into Bitfarms and Wolf, etc.? That is up to you, right? I did that with Cleanspark, but with Cleanspark, I was up 400%. So I was like, I can take 20% out of that, which was basically my cost basis into it, what I put into the stock, and put it into another company like IREN. And that worked out well for me. So you got to look at how much have you, how high, what's the percentage gains you've had in Cypher, right? And does it make sense for you to pull maybe the money that you put into it and put that into somebody else? Maybe do something like that, okay? But you got to run the numbers on that one. Let's see, and then, immersion does use more power than air-cooled, but the equipment lasts longer, so there's pros and cons to both. Yeah, there are. Let's see, do you think the machines that Cleanspark has on order would Cypher be a good target to buy out and use their facilities since they are on the same path, Bitcoin mining only? Let's see, hold on. Do you think the machines that Cleanspark has on order would Cypher be a good fit to buy out? Oh, so Cleanspark buying Cypher up? Yeah, Cypher's not going to be selling anytime soon, and it wouldn't make any sense to be way overpaying for the infrastructure and miners that Cypher has in there, so that wouldn't make sense to me. Let's see. Simply while showing Riot's fair value is $2, I think it's nonsense. Could you please recommend other sites I can use? Gosh. I do all this stuff on my own, in my own spreadsheets, and that's kind of where I go by. I don't use the other sites out there as far as what they recommend the stock to be. So look at a couple of sources, I guess, across the board, see where analysts are rating the stock at. Analysts have been surprisingly pretty close to where I'm at with the miners. Some have them a little bit higher now because we're getting into a bull run here, so they're upping the price targets on them. But yeah, I don't know any good sites. I haven't really looked at those. Let's see. Hi Seb, are you planning to buy Cleanspark again with this news event? No, I have still a large position in Cleanspark. It's my best performer right now. My average share price is like $3 or something, so I'm holding off on that one. I'm looking to get into other miners that are more potentially undervalued than Cleanspark is right now. That's kind of the way I've done things in the past and now. Let's see. Do you realize the best BTC miner, data miner out there is you, Sebastian? Oh, I appreciate that. When you enjoy your passion for numbers and building spreadsheets, you present them with honesty and integrity, rare qualities in the space. Oh, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love the data the miners provide, right? If all the companies provided this kind of data, whether it's Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Rivian, Tesla, oh, that would be fantastic. We could run so many analysis on these guys. It would be sweet. And maybe I'll propose that to the SEC to make it a mandate that they have to provide these kind of numbers. That'd be cool. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. Wolf versus Riot. Where would you put your money right now? To be honest, I would probably put it in Riot. Unless they really screw up their operations and they still can't operate much closer to 100%. But I think they have things in place right now to fix those issues and the reason for that is they can fix those things. Well, if they can fix those things, they have much higher growth than Wolf does right now for this year. That's the reason why I would get into it. Let's see. I said Jason mentioned in his interview that they would like to concentrate on BTC mining only and no intention to enter into HPC. AI is a good strategy. Oh gosh, I guess time will be a judge of that, right? We also have Cleanspark saying the same thing, and I think Microsoft Mara is also saying the same thing. So like the top 3 miners are saying the same thing here. It's just some of the other miners that are like in the low, a little bit lower tier, I guess you'd say, as far as not hash rate, but market cap. They're kind of looking into it. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thing. You also take a look at the infrastructure that Marathon's building out. They're building out buildings that hold immersion tanks, right? Those immersion tanks are not the best things for HPC, so that really wouldn't work there. The buildings are much bigger. They're not like the ones that we've seen here typically with the miners where they're pretty skinny and long, right? So that we have a hot aisle and two cold aisles and a hot aisle in the middle usually. Is the way it works. To blow this stuff out, you can retrofit those buildings to like tier 3 data centers by putting in chillers and backup generators on one side like we saw with CORZ doing. So those types of buildings and those types of infrastructure translate better into AI than these huge, wide, open buildings that Riot is building out right now. And then Cleanspark just wants to concentrate on being the best Bitcoin miner, kind of like Riot is also, right? So we'll see. We'll see which strategy works out best in the long run. This is all very new to us. We're all learning it on the fly right now as it is. Let's see. Is Cleanspark still a buy at its current price? Where is it valued at now? It's valued very fairly right now, where it's at, right? But that's with Bitcoin being at 65,000, whatever it's at right now. Given that Bitcoin goes to 150,000, maybe 200,000, it should be valued much, much, much more at that point as well. So my target for Cleanspark this cycle, conservatively, was around $70. So I do think it's still undervalued from that. We're still looking at potentially, 5x, 4x, 5x from there. So I do think if you're looking for at least good gains this way, you could get into that. You also get into like IREN, Bitfarms. If Riot can fix their issues, you can get into Riot. Marathon, same thing. Wolf, Cypher, CORZ. All of those guys, I think, still have at least like a 3 to 5x potential, at the very least, I'm saying there. Let's see. Okay, Fire Red said, luckily I've been on a hot streak making a 500 to 200K each move. I think I'll just try to get to 10,000 shares and then spread it out. Thanks for the insight. Yeah, you're very welcome. Run the analysis in your head, run it on spreadsheets. See where do you think one miner will do over the other miner? Where do you think it is right now? Where could it possibly go to? Where could the other miner go to? Does it make more sense to take some profits out of that one company, put in another company which might run up a little bit better? So that's just the way I evaluate things. But that is it. I think we're done through with all the questions here. Greatly appreciate everyone coming in here, as always. So really appreciate those that have contributed with the super stickers and the super chat. Thank you so much for that. And like I said, we'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be pretty much an off day because the miners are not trading. The stock market is not trading because of Juneteenth. But we will go over tomorrow the institution side of things. How did the institutions change over the last month and over the last 6 months for the miners? Then we'll get into your guys' Q&A side of things as well. I don't expect any huge news from any miner tomorrow. But that is it. So I wish you guys a great night. Thank you so much for coming in. This was an early video. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. Have a great night.